In this video, I will walk you through the steps, tools, and techniques that I use in my paint over process. I have picked up these techniques over the years from books, tutorials, and lots of trial and error, and I have summarized them into a simple workflow and pipeline that you can follow along and apply to your own work. Originally, this presentation was made for an event at a local university a few months ago, so the first few sections might feel a little more academic than my usual videos. For the actual paint over tutorial, you can skip ahead to the next chapter. A paint over is a digital painting technique where an artist paints directly on top of a photo or 3D render to enhance or modify its look. It is sometimes used in the animation and game industry to create quick, realistic or stylized background arts. A paint over will be beneficial in several ways. First, a paint over will help speed up the process. Instead of starting from scratch, we start working on an existing source image such as photos or 3D renders. Next, it also helps add realism and depth. The photos or 3D renders we use for paint over will provide accurate perspective and lighting. Lastly, a paint over also improves flexibility and efficiency. We can adjust colors, lighting, and details without having to redo everything. Over the years, after researching this method through art books and online tutorials, I have simplified the paint over process into 5 main steps. I will explain what each of these steps does as we go through them together. Preparation is a crucial step in the paint over method. First, gather the base image that will be used for the paint over. We can use either photos or 3D renders. Photos are suitable for real-world locations and require less preparation time, making them a quick and efficient option for paint overs. They are preferably taken during the day without hard shadow, as it will offer more flexibility for adjustments. The only downside is that we may need to spend extra time adjusting the ambient light to match our artwork. Make sure the photo is high resolution as well with good perspective. 3D renders are ideal for fictional locations, whether in a fantasy setting or stylized real-life environments. With 3D, we have full control over lighting, composition, and perspective, making it a versatile choice for paint over artwork. It offers great reusability at the cost of longer preparation time, as preparing the 3D assets require more effort. Alternatively, we can block out simple shapes with basic lighting and materials, but this will require more painting effort later. Personally, I prefer a middle ground between the two approaches, creating a slightly detailed 3D model with simple lighting and materials. I also always use Blender 3D as it is a great free open source software. If we are using photo, we can crop or frame the image to match our vision. We can also fix perspective issue using transform tools. Next, we will separate the image into multiple layers. Organize the layers appropriately, separating them into foreground, middle ground, and background elements. Using layers will streamline the paint over process and make parallax animation easier later. If anyone is interested, you can watch my parallax animation tutorial, link in the video description. Color adjustment can be made to enhance the desired mood and look of the artwork. One of the most common color grade is a teal and orange look. This involves adding blue cyan tones to the shadows, while enhancing warm red-orange tones in the highlights. We can use various color adjustment tools such as color balance, levels, curves, or photo filter for this step. Personally, I find color balance to be the easiest adjustment tool to use. To do this in Photoshop, start by adding a color balance adjustment layer. In the tone drop down, select shadows, then move the slider towards cyan to tint the darkest areas. Add a bit of blue to the shadow as well for a cooler tone. Next, switch to highlights and move the slider towards red, and slightly toward yellow to warm up the bright areas. Depending on the image, we can further refine the look by adjusting the midtones. In this case, I will add a touch of red and blue to the midtones. We can also stack multiple adjustment layers for more control. For example, I will add a levels adjustment layer and slightly reduce the contrast for a more aesthetic stylized look. We can also easily adjust the image to an evening or night scene by multiplying it with a tint of color. For an evening scene, multiply with a soft orange tint. And for a night scene, use a cyan tint instead. After that, we can proceed to the pen over process. We can begin the paint over process after color grading our image. The first step is to introduce painterly brushwork. Paint over areas that look too photo-like or CG with brush strokes. You can use any brush for this process, but personally, I will always stick to the basic round brush. While in brush mode, you can press and hold the alternate key to quickly switch to the eyedropper tool for color picking and painting. Sometimes, the edges of a crop photo or 3D render may appear too sharp. Painting over them helps soften the edges. First, color pick from the object, slightly lighten the color, and then draw a line on the edge. This process is like adding bevel lines to a 3D model. You can paint these edge details on other elements in the scene as well, to maintain a consistent painterly look. If there are shadows in your photos or 3D renders, color pick the surface color, then paint along the shadow edges with a lower brush opacity. A rougher shadow can enhance the painterly feel of your artwork. We can also paint around the glow edges. Color pick the glow and paint along the glow edges with lower brush opacity. A rougher glow edges will also enhance the painterly look of your artwork. Aside from painting over the existing image, we can enhance the scene by adding new hand-painted details. I usually repaint elements like trees and clouds with custom brushes to enhance the artwork's painterly feel. You can check out my tutorial on creating custom Photoshop tree and cloud brushes. I will include the link in the video description. We can also add more detail by overlaying the texture layer using the multiply blend mode. Sometimes, we may need to remove unwanted objects from the scene. This is especially important when the painting is intended as background art for animation, since static human or animals frozen in place can break the illusion of movement. After painting over the main areas of our artwork, we can further enhance it by adding effects and atmosphere. We can add new shadows to our artwork by painting on a separate layer set to multiply blend mode. Applying a slight blur filter to the shadow layer will enhance realism as well. Separating the shadow layer will also be helpful for the animation stage. Soft sunlight, light rays, and atmosphere glow can help to tie everything together. First, add a new layer with screen blend mode. Then use a soft edge airbrush to paint subtle glow around bright areas. To add light rays, start by drawing random shapes in the area emitting light. Then, apply the radial blur filter Reapply the filter a few more times to extend the light rays. You can also duplicate and merge the light ray layers to make them more visible. Lens flare can be created in a similar way using motion blur. But it is easier to download a free lens flare image and place it on a layer set to screen blend mode. For a more detailed explanation on adding glow and atmosphere, you can watch my tutorial link in the video description. Effects like fog, mist, or haze can be created by painting multiple layers. Add a clipping layer to the background layer, then begin painting the fog using a soft edge brush. This will make the distant object appear lighter and less contrast. For layers closer to the viewer, lower the clip layer opacity to make them darker and more contrast. Remember the edges we painted earlier? We can further enhance them by adding highlights. An easy way to do this in Photoshop is by applying the afterglow effect on a layer set to screen blend mode. First, add a new layer. Select blending options and enable the afterglow effect. Tweak the opacity, range, and color values to fine-tune the glow. Remember to change the layer blending mode to screen or linear dodge as well. After that, simply paint on the areas where you want the glow to appear. This effect can also be added to other objects in the scene. For example, the specular highlights on individual grass strands, object emitting light, or any other areas that make sense for your scene. If the painting application you're using doesn't have an afterglow effect, you can manually paint them with a hard edge brush. Then, add the glow effect using a soft edge airbrush on screen blend mode layer. Particles are a great addition to a painting. Adding dust, rain, or snow particles can help convey wind movement and enhance the scene atmosphere. Although these effects are usually added during post-production for animation, but we can still add them into our artwork using a custom brush. The key of this brush is to enable the scattering option, allowing particles to be painted randomly across the artwork. Another way to add rain particles is by using noise filter. Create a new layer and fill it with solid black color. Then, add a monochromatic noise effect and apply the motion blur filter. Then set the layer blend mode to screen. Lastly, adjust the layer's contrast to bring out the details. Also scale up the layer slightly as the edges may appear a bit too bright. After the paint over process, there are a few final touches that we can do to enhance the artwork. First, we can apply color adjustment again to harmonize and unify the entire scene. This can be as simple as adjusting the saturation or contrast to refine the overall look. We can also apply blur filter to the background layers to enhance the sense of depth. In some cases, close-up layer can be blurred too to focus attention on key area. Adding noise to digital artwork is an effective way to break the perfection of digital rendering. It helps blend photo and painted elements together, while also mimicking the natural look of film grain and the subtle imperfection of paper texture. To add noise to your artwork, first create a new layer and fill it with neutral grey. Then apply a noise filter to the layer, and set the layer mode to overlay or soft light. If the noise effect is too strong, we can reduce it by adjusting the layer opacity. For a softer look, apply a slight blur to the noise. Personally, I prefer to scale the layer up to create a larger noise pattern. If the artwork is being used as concept art, we can apply a high-pass sharpening filter to enhance clarity and details. To achieve this, select all artwork layers and duplicate them. Then, merge them together by pressing Ctrl E. Apply the high-pass filter to the layer and adjust the radius as needed. Next, change this layer blending mode to overlay or soft light. If the effect is too strong, reduce the intensity by lowering the layer opacity. In the last few years, we have seen AI generation improve drastically, from rough shapes to fully detailed scenes. It is honestly mind-blowing how far the technology has come in such a short time. The paint over technique that I show you in this video might not be as relevant in the near future, because now we can input a photo into AI and let it finish the work. Rendering, lighting, texture, mood, all can be done in seconds. If you are still watching this video at this very moment, that tells me something very important. It tells me you still have real interest in learning, in practicing, in creating with your own hands, your own decisions, your own heart. And that's why I decided to keep making this video. Our passion, our constant drive to improve, there is something worth cheering for. Some of us might be wondering, why don't we just use AI or paint over AI images? Personally, I believe this could eventually happen in the industry. AI become a starting point, and artists bring it to life with their own touches. At least until AI no longer needs us. But knowing how to paint, understanding light, form, shading, these are skills and knowledge that will always be useful. And I hope you find this video helpful too. It's not my place to say whether you should or should not use AI. It is a controversial topic now among digital artists. It is a big shift, one that is still unfolding. And as an artist, we're all trying to find our place in it. So thank you for being here. Thank you for still caring. Let's keep learning together. Keep drawing.